Dissent is the heartbeat of democracy. The principles that individuals have the right to peacefully protest is not conditional upon the popularity of the dissenting view. Certainly, dissent can be curtailed to maintain order. But if maintaining order becomes a blanket excuse for intolerance or is invoked selectively, we are falling away from democracy and toward authoritarian governance. The nomination of Officer Justin Berry is evidence that we are falling away from democracy. I don't mean to impugn the character of Berry as a person, but the governor's selection of an officer with his history is evidence of a growing intolerance of dissent at the highest levels of our government, even to the point of taking up arms against dissent. There are 3 reasons not to confirm this nomination. 1, the nominee's history as a patrol officer. 2, the process by which this confirmation has come to this floor. And 3, the symbolism of his nomination. First, the nominee's history. It should raise concern. Anyone who's been a patrol officer for 17 years is going to have some complaints against him, absolutely. That is not lost on me. But allegations against Berry specifically, reaching back to 2011, have risen to the level of press coverage at least 4 times. Berry was among several police officers who were named defendants in a civil rights lawsuit that spanned 2013 to 2017 and went up almost to the highest court, the US Supreme Court. And when he and 18 other officers shot into a crowd of protesters in 2020, causing grievous injuries to numerous protesters, causing more than a dozen of those protesters to be sent to the hospital with impact wounds from beanbag rounds. The 19 officers' actions were the subject of criminal indictments. In the case of Kristen Warkaszewski's injuries, the investigation determined that Berry or one other officer had shot Ms. Warkaszewski in the face with a beanbag round that passed through her cheek and broke her jaw. I have distributed packets to every member of this body, and you have photographs of her injuries, as well as documentation from the investigation showing that Officer Berry was the first to shoot, and that it was determined it was either his or one other officer's shots that made contact with Ms. Warkaszewski's face. The uncertainty with regard to which one of the officers had actually made contact with her face was the reason for Officer Berry's indictment to be dismissed. In a criminal charge, as you well know, you must prove beyond a reasonable doubt, and probably is not enough. However, Officer Berry never contradicted the fact that he did shoot. He shot 5 times. And the city of Austin paid out $850,000 in a civil settlement to Ms. Warkaszewski. City of Austin has also paid out more than $22 million total in civil settlements for injuries to protesters by APD officers in the 2020 protests. There are more than 8,000 peace officers in the state of Texas. Why did the governor pick one with this very public record? Second, the process by which this nominee's confirmation comes to the floor of the Senate is unprecedented. He was first nominated when he was actually under active indictment. That in itself was unprecedented in 2023. And although the full Senate Democratic Caucus requested the opportunity to bring Officer Berry to the Nominations Committee in this second time he's been nominated, to ask questions about his history and his intentions as a TCOLE commissioner, the Lieutenant Governor informed us on Thursday that he was denying the SDC request. Minority senators should have the same rights and rules as majority senators. And finally, the symbolism of Officer Berry's nomination is unmistakable. Of the more than 8,000 peace officers in Texas, the governor chooses Officer Berry not in spite of the fact that he shot into protesters, but because he shot protesters. Just as Daniel Perry did, killing Garrett Foster, one of my constituents, after which Governor Abbott pardoned Daniel Perry. Just as Kyle Rittenhouse did, killing 2 men and wounding a 3rd, after which Governor Abbott tweeted, "Not guilty," all caps, exclamation point. And in response to the APD indictments, Abbott said the officers should be praised, not prosecuted. This nomination is less about Officer Berry and more about sending a message that dissent against the current order will not be tolerated, even to the point of taking up arms against the dissenters. Members, the dissenters are my constituents. I must stand with my constituents. And I ask you to join me in not confirming this nomination and in denying the governor's nomination of this officer to TCOLE. Thank you for giving me the time and the consideration as a full and equal member of this body, even though I am a minority member of this body. And even though my message is a dissent to the current order.